Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. Thank you so much for tuning into the program today. We're glad to have you here. I'm your host, AP. Thanks so much for checking in with us so early today. Andy Opperman, Caleb Vanderfeld's lovely Rare Camellias here with us today. Chris Morrill, Bert Crash, Michael Nip, and John Rail. Oh, the lovely Stephanie P has entered the chat as well. Good morning to you. Happy Tuesday. Glad to have you here with us. We super appreciate it. Make sure you click like, smash that like button on the stream so that you can get this stream out in other people's feeds, and then they can join us and we can make more friends. What do you think? That's Todd in Minnesota over there on Twitch. Good morning, Todd. Good to see you, brother. Boy, have I got some great stuff for you today. How to take down the fake news with this one weird trick. Elon Musk has mastered the art of the troll. Yeah, I've got an awesome interview that he did with Tucker Carlson on Fox News yesterday. I'm going to play that interview for you here in just a couple of minutes. We're going to talk about that as well as his announcement that he's creating a new form of artificial intelligence called Truth GPT. What will Truth GPT be all about? I'll explain to you in just a few. At 7:18 this morning, the Florida legislature is working on making it easier for Ron DeSantis to run for president of the United States. It's been an ongoing question, something that, as a non-Floridian, I think a lot of people like myself have been wondering, why hasn't Ron DeSantis thrown his hat into the race? When is he going to officially announce for president of the United States? Well, apparently there has been one little snag that has prevented him from doing so, and I've got the story for you here today, so you'll be fully informed. We'll talk about that at 7:20. At 7:30 this morning, Larry Sharp will be joining us, former gubernatorial candidate for the state of New York. He'll be talking to us a little bit about the risks and dangers of artificial intelligence. We'll talk about that from his role as a business consultant and a little bit about that story that Elon Musk is driving reporters insane with. Glad to have you here today. I'd love to hear how the internet connection is doing for you all today. I know Chris Morrill was saying earlier, your internet seems to be getting worse. Well, I made some tweaks this morning to hopefully solve some of the problems that we have been having. I don't know if that's going to work, but hopefully it does. Looks pretty stable right now so far. So give me a thumbs up in the stream if you're getting us loud and clear. And if you're joining us over on Rumble this morning, good morning to all of our friends over on Rumble. We love to see you. Thanks so much for joining us over there. That network has been growing for us in recent weeks, and it's been nice to see. This looks like we've got about 7 or 8 people watching us right now. Make sure that you click like on the stream over on Rumble and drop a message in the live chat. Just let us know who you are. We like to see and make new friends over on Rumble, and it's it's good to have friends in all different places, especially a free speech platform like Rumble. At 8 o'clock this morning, Camellia Peterson's going to talk to us about a story that came out talking about how the Heritage Foundation, once the bastion of conservatism, and specifically fiscal conservatism to a large extent, seems to be turning away from the message of free markets and therefore limited government. We'll talk to Camellia Peterson about that, as well as why so many other people on the right seem to be turning against the tried and tested method of delivering the maximum amount of liberty and prosperity to a nation, which is freedom to trade. We'll talk about that this morning with Camellia Peterson at 8 o'clock. You don't want to miss that. You can text the show today at 573-319 1586. Again, the text lines are open at 573-319-1586. It's nice to see John Rails here with us today. He looks like he's been a Freedom Ninja for 4 months. Yeah, man. You rock, dude. Thank you so much. Michael Nip as well, another member for 4 months. We do appreciate our monthly subscribers very much. Helps us to keep a minimum base amount of cash flow going so that it guarantees that the Wake Up America show will continue month after month. You see, in terms of revenue, I'll briefly explain to you on this one. We have many different sources of revenue for this show. We have, some advertisers, but those can come and go. We have, the AP for Liberty shop, but it just depends on how good I am at selling products on any given day. But the monthly subscribers are the guarantee that I know that next month we have got a budget to be able to continue the Wake Up America show. So thank you very much to all of our monthly subscribers like John Rail and Michael Nip and all of the others who are here with us today. Good morning, Christopher Crane. Appreciate you very much. Matt Unruh is here with us as well. He's also a monthly subscriber. Maria Krabs, nice to see you. Some of my favorite people are already here this morning. Glad to have you. 8:30 today, I'm going to introduce to you a new guest. He's never been on the show before. His name's Garion Frankel, or Gary Frankel, I guess he calls himself on Twitter, who wrote an article in Reason magazine, which is sure to inspire ire. Satan clubs should be allowed in school. I know what you're thinking. No, how dare you? What are they going to be doing? Sacrificing babies? Well, we'll hear from Gary Frankel at 8:30 this morning, who says that after school Satan clubs cause no direct harm. Oh, I got an itchy nose today. Cause no direct harm. They merely challenge the relationship between religious institutions and public schools.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to
Yes, it can. Is that some kind of satanic chant there, Joe Biden? We all know how Joe rolls. Yeah, I saw Maria yesterday. Got the Abolish the FBI shirt from AP for Liberty shop. You rock, Maria. Thank you. And it was because of the email that I sent out. I'm finally getting some sales from the emails that I'm sending out, which is nice. Glad to see. Have you signed up for the email list, by the way? Because you've only got like 12 more days until we give away the AK-47. I mean, if you're not signed up for the emails for the show, then you don't have a chance to win. You get a free entry to win. I'm not talking about a keychain. I'm talking about an AK-47 battle rifle chambered in 9mm, takes Glock magazines. I will be giving away for free. Yes, for free. To people who are subscribed to our email list. So if you are a monthly subscriber or if you have bought from apforlibertyshop.com, don't worry, you are already entered to win. All right, Elon Musk says we need Truth GPT to fight evil GPT. He did a lengthy interview with Tucker Carlson talking about a range of issues, not only artificial intelligence, but why he fired so many people from Twitter. Let's go ahead and go to our Twitter weirdness scene and take a listen to this.
So 80% left.
Hold on, let's get to
yes.
Bring that back for you.
What percentage of your staff did you fire at Twitter? One of the great business stories of the year.
I think we're about 20% of the original size.
So 80% left.
Yes.
So
I mean, a lot of people voluntarily.
Sure. But it's 80% are gone from the day you took over.
That's correct. Yes.
So how do you run the company with only 20% of the staff?
It turns out you don't need all that many people to run Twitter.
But 80%? That's a lot.
Yes. I mean, if you're not trying to run some sort of glorified activist organization and you're not care that much about censorship, then you can really let go of a lot of people, it turns out.
Oh my God. Did you hear that? The way that he says it, the way that Elon Musk drops bombs, it's not like how a lot of us drop bombs. Like, whenever you see me in a debate, for example, whenever I know that I've got a bomb, I have like a dramatic flourish usually that goes with it. It's just very nuclear, very radioactive, the way that I drop my bombs. But Elon Musk, if I'm the nuclear bomb, if I'm the nuke, then Elon Musk is like the guided laser precision targeted predator drone of truth bombs. I'm the war crime. He's more the unconstitutional executive order of truth bombs. I don't know where the hell I'm going with this. So, run and scream and hide when Elon Musk sits down for an interview. So good. Oh my goodness gracious. Funny stuff. All right, let's continue this interview because, I mean, boy, that was a bomb. Well, he says, if you're not trying to run some glorified activist organization and you don't care that much about censorship, then you can really let go of a lot of people, it turns out. God, so beautiful. Let's continue. I know.
How many others, without naming names, but I had dinner with somebody who runs a big company recently who said, I'm really inspired by Elon. And I said, the free speech stuff? He goes, no, the firing the staff stuff. Yeah. How many other CEOs have come to you to talk about this?
I spend a lot of time at work, so it's not like I'm meeting with lots of people. They see what actions I've taken, but I think we just had a situation at Twitter where it was absurdly overstaffed. So it wasn't like you look at, say, like, what does it really take to operate Twitter? Most of what we're talking about here is a group text service at scale. How many people are really needed for that?
Yeah, pause. Think about that for just a moment. For those of you who might not be kind of familiar with internet architecture, right? Some websites take a lot of processing power to be able to accomplish massive tasks, right? Whenever you run a program, if anybody familiar, have you ever like run Photoshop, for example? So when you run Photoshop on your computer, or you run like a video editing program, your computer like heats up, you hear your fans speed up, and it gets really hot, and your computer is really working hard to process. But what really is the website Twitter, right? If you think of like websites as sort of like apps, Twitter is really just Twitter is really just a messaging platform. It's just like, some direct messaging, and like posting like a messaging board back in the 90s when we used to post on not on BBS's bulletin boards, but like, what was the thing that we used to have, like forums. Twitter is just basically a public forum if you think about it. Let's continue this because it shouldn't take a lot to run a forum. I mean, single people have run massive forums for a number of years. Let's continue.
And if you look at what has been the product development over time with Twitter, and years versus product improvements, and it's like a pretty flat line. So what are they doing? It took a year to add an edit button that doesn't work most of the time. I mean, I feel like there's a comedy situation here. You're not making cars, it's very difficult to make cars, or get rockets to orbit. So, the real question is, like, how did it get so absurdly overstaffed? This is insane. So, anyway, and it's clearly working. In fact, I think it's working better than ever. We've increased the responsiveness of the system by, in some cases, over 80%.
Yeah, I have noticed some speed changes there. It's been interesting to see how Twitter has changed. Some of the things that have happened on Twitter, I think, have changed for the worse, but there have been some changes for the better. The most chilling part of the interview that I thought was the most eye-opening, and the one that we probably need to focus on the most, is this one. Take a listen.
When you got there, and all of a sudden you own it, and all the data on the servers belongs to you.
And it belongs to the people, in my view, but yes.
But you can see what it is, and you can see what they've been doing, and you can see who's been working there. You were shocked to find out that various intel agencies were affecting its operations?
The degree to which various government agencies had effectively had full access to everything that was going on Twitter blew my mind.
Yes.
I was not aware of that.
Would that include people's DMs?
Yes.
Wow. That is enormous. And, you shouldn't expect that anything that's on the internet will ever be considered private. I never do. I never post anything on the internet, or take any pictures with my phone that I think are ever going to leak, because I understand how the architecture of the internet works. I mean, I have, a Google Drive, and OneDrive, and all this kind of stuff. It's like you're uploading your stuff, especially if you're working with cloud-based computing at all. And if you're doing a website like Facebook or Twitter, you should expect that your private messages are not really that. They're direct messages, not private messages. And it doesn't surprise me at all to find out that government agencies had access. But there's some good news. It's a light at the end of the tunnel on this one. Let's continue.
Yes, because the DMs are not encrypted. So one of the things that we're about to release is the ability to encrypt your DMs.
That's pretty heavy duty, though, because a lot of well-known people, reporters talking to their sources, government officials, the richest people in the world, they're DMing each other. And the assumption, obviously it was incorrect, but was that that's private, but that was being read by various governments?
Yeah, that seems to be, yes.
It's scary.
Yes, it is. Like I said, we're moving to have the DMs be optionally encrypted. I mean, there's like a lot of DM conversations which are, just chatting with friends. It's not important.
Of course.
that's hopefully coming out later this month, but no later than next month, is the ability to toggle encryption on or off. So if you are in a conversation you think is sensitive, you can just toggle encryption on, and then no one at Twitter can see what you're talking about.
See, I would just turn on encryption for everything. What about you? What do you think about this? I mean, I got to say, though, this is something that's been a long time coming. I definitely think this will make Twitter a much more competitive platform, more of a free speech and privacy platform, which is honestly fantastic. On a side note, I saw that the website or the social network Parler got shut down the other day. Did you hear about that one? Yeah. Yeah, they finally decided to close up shop. They had way too many problems. But maybe Twitter will be that free speech platform that we really want to see. Let's continue.
They could put a gun to my head, and I couldn't tell. I couldn't. That's sort of the gun to the head test. If somebody puts a gun to my head, and can I still not see your DMs? That's the acid test.
Yes.
And that's how it should be if you want your.
Have you had complaints from various governments about doing this?
I haven't had direct complaints to me. I've had sort of like some indirect complaints. I think people are a little concerned about complaining to me directly in case I tweet about it.
I won't lie, honestly, the times that I've kind of bitched to Elon Musk on Twitter, I've actually been afraid that he was going to turn around and punish me for whatever reason. So that's a really good point there. Yeah, people are afraid to complain to him because of what he could do to them. That makes really good sense. Spelled parlor, pronounced parlay. I had no idea. Well, no wonder it failed with that French-sounding name. It used to be called a PM, private message. Then they changed the name to avoid liability. LOL. Yeah, no kidding. For sure. Sad. Isn't this good stuff? Are you enjoying the stream? Oh man. A little early for so many truth bombs this morning, but we got to do it. We got to do it. I see you're over there with us on Rumble this morning. A nice, good group of people gathering. Blue Trike joined us over there. Blue Trike, 15 people watching us over on Rumble. If you are watching us over on Rumble, big shout out to you guys. Can I ask you a real quick favor? Would you click that like button on the Rumble stream to help us to get out there in the feeds? I'm not sure if they're putting us on the front page these days. I saw yesterday's show was put on the front page of Rumble, and it's really gotten me excited about the possibility of growing my audience over there. Yep, looks like we are on the front page of Rumble. Big time ups. Thank you, Rumble. Appreciate that very much. If you're watching this morning over on Rumble, very special shout out. And of the 30 people watching us over on YouTube this morning, appreciate you as well. Looks like my friend Mochi Maru Roman is here with us today. Good morning. Ohayo gozaimasu. My wife Stephanie and I made a friend in Japan on the Shinkansen train when we were traveling from Osaka to Tokyo. And we met a nice young gentleman who joined us. He was sitting next to us on the train, and he's here with us today. Long time laters. Watch the first real time. So happy. Arigatou gozaimasu. Domo arigatou. Good morning, Mochimaru. Ohayo gozaimasu. Nobody pronounced it parlay. LOL, says Timothy Peterson. Very true, very true. I had this really nice conversation with Mochi Maru on the train, and me and my wife were being so friendly, and we exchanged gifts with Mochi. I gave Mochi one of my George Washington Buddhas, and I gave him one of my Smokin' George, where George Washington is smoking a blunt on a quarter that's like an engraved quarter from my AP for Liberty shop, because Stephanie and I knew that when we traveled to Japan, I'll get back to the Elon Musk story in just a moment. Japan is a big gift culture. So we brought a bunch of gifts with us to Japan in case we made any friends. So Mochi Maru was one of the friends that we made there in Japan. So I gave him a George Washington Buddha, and I gave him a George Washington Smokin' George coin from apforlibertyshop.com. We were so nice. I kind of feel bad because I wonder if Mochi has been watching my tweets in the last couple of weeks since I got back from Japan, or I guess a week or so from Japan, and is like, wow, this Austin is a little bit more fiery than he online than he was on the train, because of course we're so friendly and polite when you meet somebody in person, and then when they see me online, I'm always like, yeah, Mochi probably thinks I'm a lot meaner. Good morning, Mochi, and hope you have a wonderful day. So, Austin Kawai, thank you. Hope you enjoy my my cool shirt that I picked up. I'm pretty sure it's from Japan. Okay, time to continue on with our story here. Elon Musk talking about the degree at which various government agencies had effectively full access to everything that was going on Twitter blew his mind. Let's continue this discussion because I find it quite fascinating, don't you?
Uh, they're like, uh-oh. So they're sort of trying to be more roundabout than that. I mean, if I got something that was unconstitutional from the U.S. government, I would say my reply would be to send them a copy of the, First Amendment, and just say like, what part of this are we getting wrong?
Dang.
You have a lot of government. You have a
So
lot of
good.
government.
One of us, one of us, one of us. Elon Musk, one of us. One of us. He is one of us.
What are we getting wrong? Please tell me.
I mean, it's a pretty. No, I'm just saying. But you're kind of exposed in your other businesses. So this is just in case our viewers aren't following this. This is not. You're not just like a journalist taking a stand on behalf of the First Amendment. You're a guy with big government contracts, giving the finger to the government. Do you think?
Good point.
Twitter will be as central to this presidential campaign as it was in the last several?
I think it will play a significant role in elections, not just domestically, but internationally. The goal of New Twitter is to be as fair and even-handed as possible, so not favoring any political ideology, but just being fair at all.
Why doesn't Facebook do this? I know that Zuckerberg has said, and I take him at face value, that he, I do actually in this way, that he is a kind of old-fashioned liberal who doesn't like to censor. He has, but he, like why wouldn't a company like that take the stand that you have taken, which is pretty rooted in American traditional political custom, for free speech?
My understanding is that Zuckerberg spent $400 million in the last election, nominally in a get-out-the-vote campaign, but really fundamentally in support of Democrats. Is that accurate or not accurate?
That is accurate. Yes.
Does that sound unbiased to you?
No, it doesn't.
Yes.
So you don't see hope that Facebook will approach this as a
Jeez, I mean, Elon, baby girl. Hope you brought lube. Jeez, that is some intense stuff. I'm so excited for Larry Sharp to be joining us here in a little bit less than 10 minutes because I think he's going to do fantastic. Let's finish this interview off. It's just like, I need a towel. All right,
a non-aligned arbiter. You've allowed Donald Trump back on Twitter. He hasn't taken you up on your offer because he's got his own thing.
Right.
Do you think he will go back on Twitter?
Well, that's obviously up to him. My job is to, I take the freedom of speech just very seriously. So it's. I didn't vote for Donald Trump. I actually voted for Biden. Not saying I'm a huge fan of Biden because I would think that would probably be inaccurate. But we have difficult choices to make in these presidential elections. Yes. It's not. I would prefer, frankly, that we put someone, just a normal person, as president.
Yeah.
A normal.
That's it then. I guess I should probably go ahead and announce my run for president. What do you think? Normal person. 2024. Nobody else is going to do it. Somebody's going to have to step up. What do you think? I'm just so tired of the anti-free market bias amongst Republicans these days. Camelia Peterson is going to join us at 8 o'clock to talk about that. The Heritage Foundation turning against free markets. How about Larry Sharp, though, first? He's going to be joining us here in 5, 4, 3, 2,
I like shooting things, but whenever I can't shoot something, I like to cut things. My life isn't all about shooting and stabbing and cutting, though. Sometimes I have to do actual work, but when I work, I still like to have fun. And there's nothing less fun than trying to cut with a crappy knife. Thankfully, from the ancient sect of Christian knights, who also loved cutting and stabbing, comes a new implement that has received my personal blessing, the Templar knife. Like the ancient sword of Excalibur, you don't choose a Templar knife, it chooses you. You just decide what kind you want on the website first, however, and then order it online, and then it chooses you. The Templar knife comes in a variety of shapes. As a man of culture and taste, I have decided I will never use a terrible knife again. And thanks to the inspiration provided by this excellent product, I have decided to launch a new crusade against anyone using less than superior knives. Join me, brothers and sisters, by visiting uppercuttactical.com/pages/Templar-knives. That's a lot of slashes. For that, you'll need a Templar knife. For 10% off, use code AP for Liberty and join me in a quest for glory, for liberty, for Christendom, for the Templar knife. Get yours today. Fire.
Hello, this is Barack Obama, and let me tell you why Austin Peterson stinks, and you should never pay attention to anything that he has to say. First of all, he's a libertarian, and we all know libertarians are idiots. They don't realize how important government is to everything that we do. I recently became aware that Austin has opened up a libertarian shop at apeforlibertyshop.com. Now, I'm asking you as a personal favor to me that you never ever visit apeforlibertyshop.com. With all of the great Liberty merchandise there, the last thing that we need to do is to get people spreading this message around the country, because then they might start thinking that they don't need government. And that's the last thing that good Democrats like us want. So if you love democracy, like me, and hate freedom, then don't visit AP for Liberty Shop. Like I said, whatever you do, do not visit aporlibertyshop.com. I'm Barack Obama, and I approve this message.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
I would remind you that extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice.
It is better to settle these matters in the courts than on the streets, and new laws are needed at every level. But law alone cannot make men see right.
from 5-star Fiverr talent, hundreds of freelancer skills like web design. Head to Fiverr.com today and get something started.
American conservatism is distinct, like America is distinct from the United Kingdom. American conservatism's roots comes out of the Wild West, out of pioneerism. The difference between American conservatives and European conservatives is that Americans are cowboys. We are that God, guns, gold, and girls. It's wild here, and we should stay that way. We shouldn't allow a European version of conservatism to come and infect us here. We like it wide open spaces here, deep in the heart of Texas and all that. Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. Happy Tuesday. How are you feeling today? Good. Glad you're all so bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Glad to have you here. Well, we've got a little bit of a dark topic, but we've got a bright and sunny guest to talk about it. Elon Musk announced Truth GPT as he warns about civilizational destruction from artificial intelligence. He's sounding the alarm on artificial intelligence. Let's talk to a tech bro himself, Larry Sharp, who's joining us right now. Former gubernatorial candidate of the state of New York, who is apparently unhappy to be a New Yorker this morning. Good morning, Larry.
Yes, I think too many New Yorkers are unhappy to be here, sadly. It's a tough state to live in, but it's a beautiful state and we keep trying to fix it.
Is there anything in particular that's aroused your ire this morning?
No, just yet again, other issues. We should talk about Elon Musk, not my state. My state, I could sit here for 6 hours talking about how bad my state is. It's fine.
Do you share Elon Musk's fear about dangers of artificial intelligence?
I do tremendously. I think he's completely correct. I mean, the reality of it is you get AI doing something well, it can do things like literally end trade agreements. It can overload the electric grid. It can break a supply chain. It can draft contracts en masse and then allow destroying our court system or breaking up communities. It can send encrypted messages to commanders in the field. It can make movies and clips that will, make fake news reels and all of a sudden create chaos. I mean, there's so many things that it could do and also allow others to do if they decided they want to do it. So there is a lot of fear. I think it's smart to be worried. It doesn't mean the world's going to end or that's going to happen. You do want to be concerned about it. Yes, I think he's thinking the right way.
Okay, interesting to note there. So I'm actually shocked to hear you say that. I mean, maybe it's because I'm not as smart as Elon Musk or yourself, because I maybe I look on the bright side of life a little bit too much. I know that smarter people tend to be unhappier people. I must be borderline retarded because I'm just always looking on the bright side of life. But all I see are the benefits of artificial intelligence. What could it do? I mean, the things that you listed sound pretty terrifying. But I mean,
Yep.
Humanity is resilient and has found ways to adjust to other dangerous technologies that have arisen, and we've come out the better for it. Don't you agree?
But I think that's why he's trying to make his type of GPT for exactly that reason. I think he thinks the way you're thinking also. The difference is, right, that one of the reasons why it hasn't happened already is humans tend to look at each other and stop these things. The idea in New York, which I'll give New York a very good thing it does, is that our see something, say something concept does work in this city. This city, I live in New York City, literally is a target for bad things. Yet bad things rarely happen here. They do, but relative to its size, relative to its target, bad things don't happen that much. Why? It's not because our cops are so great. Not that I'm against cops, but it isn't the cops doing it. It's the people doing it. If we see something, we say something. The people of New York do stop crimes. I'm not making that up. That actually does happen. We've stopped many big things because we've noticed something wrong and we've said something. Our communities have stopped it, that kind of thing. If anything, law enforcement has often failed to stop communities from actually warning them of bad things. So what is Elon Musk trying to do? The key to artificial intelligence, what most people don't understand, is garbage in, garbage out. So if you give the AI a bunch of bad, horrible things, it will become a bad, horrible thing. If you give it more good things, it will be good. Whatever you give it is what it responds to. So his Truth GPT concept is the idea that if we give it all of humanity, it will be more human Therefore, it won't do the bad thing. And when it sees you doing the bad thing, it will try to convince you. As powerful as the AI is to convince others to do things, it can also convince its users. So now a user walks down the road trying to do something bad. The AI will be savvy enough to convince the user to not do it, or to tell somebody, or to come clean, or whatever the case may be. So his concept is exactly yours, except your concept doesn't work with an AI unless the AI becomes more human.
Does it become more kind of like that movie Minority Report with Tom Cruise, where you have artificial intelligence modeling potential pre-crime behaviors of human beings, which could lead to pre-arrests?
Yes, absolutely. All that's, and there's the other part. These are the sad part, that humans will make it bad. You can guarantee that AI, whatever it is, will be filled with federal agents creating crimes. You can guarantee it will be filled with federal agents creating crimes, making up crimes, trying to convince people to do bad things, coming up, and you also with them making up evidence to put people, their enemies, in jail. So that's the part that will make that humans will be bad. Don't worry about the AI. Worry about the humans doing the bad things. So yes, there'll be that also. So we'll need to have more AIs, if that makes any sense, to counter the ones that the feds will be using.
Yeah, we're talking about cybernetic warfare here. If you're just tuning in to the Wake Up America show, I'm your host, Austin Peterson. Good morning. Smash that like button if you're enjoying the content that you're getting so far. And if you're enjoying Larry Sharpe, the former gubernatorial candidate for the Libertarian Party in the state of New York, he's joining us now live on the stream. Glad to have you here, Larry. Transhumanism.
But there's another piece of this too,
go
right?
Go ahead.
And that is, you're going to find that people are going to start using AI for a living. They're already doing it now, right? But you're going to see in mass, we're all going to be using AI as part of our job, or how we make a living. You're going to be using it to draft ideas for your show. I'm going to be using it to write up contract. We're going to be using it for all types of things. So now that we have it, if there's only one that's controlled by one company, that's monopoly. They're going to decide that, oh, Larry said something I don't like. He doesn't get to use it anymore, right? He doesn't get to do it. Or we get to break his contracts, or we get to go in there and spy and put little things in his contracts going to screw him over somehow. Well, if you have more AI, more, obviously competition is always better, more of it and more things to use, the odds of that happening go down, right? And I want the odds of that going down, because yes, once I start using AI to draft my contracts, I'm being very forward with you, and most people who've done contracts know this, I'm going to start reading my contracts, because it takes time to read my contract. I'm just not going to read it. I'm being forward. I'm going to click contract, send it off to you. And meanwhile, you was savvier than I was, and you got into the AI, and now there's parts of the contract I didn't read, and now I'm screwed. That's a worry we have to worry about also.
For sure. Larry, and I hope I'm defining this correctly. If I'm doing it incorrectly, then I'm happy to be corrected in the comments. You can also text the show at 573-319-1586. Again, the text line is open at 573-319-1586. Transhumanism, as I understand it, Larry, and maybe I'll do a quick Google search so I don't have to get a bunch of texts about how wrong I am. Is this idea that we will use current and emerging technologies, like artificial intelligence as one of them, to augment human capabilities and improve the human condition. Now, again, maybe I'm just seeing the world with rose-colored glasses, the perpetual stupid optimist here. But when I hear about this, when I think about what this would mean, if we're talking about bionic arms, if you've lost your arm in a car accident or something like that, we're talking about cybernetic arms. We're talking about if you've lost an eye, being able to create a camera in your eye that connects to your brain so that you actually have restored vision. That seems to me to be a good thing, but there are a lot of people who are really concerned about this movement to augment biology with technology. Your thoughts?
Well, you're correct in what you're saying. And again, this is the same as AI. There's good and there's bad. The good part is the physical aspect. You're completely correct. Not just better body parts, but those that last longer. What happens when they create a cybernetic liver, right? Or heart or lung, and now everyone can live for 200 or 300 years because your lungs aren't collapsing. Your liver isn't broken, right? I mean, whatever the case may be. Yes, I completely agree. But what does that mean? That means that eventually you can make it to where basically it's your brain inside a robot body, right? Eventually that could actually happen. which again may not be a bad thing. We could live for a real long time. Eventually, we would actually have nanobots who can clean all the plaque out of our brains to stop Alzheimer's, to stop our brains from collapsing. I mean, all those things could happen. Yeah, we could have basic immortality. I think it's all possible. But the problem now becomes not that. The problem is when we begin to augment our brain, and we're doing it already. So many people kind of outsource their brains, which is not necessarily a bad thing. In other words, why learn everything when Google has it for you, right? Why learn everything when all the data is already at your fingertips? Instead of knowing the thing, you simply need to know what to look up, right? So what thing do I need to know is now my skill set, not knowing the thing, right? That thing is no longer my skill set. Well, if we start doing that, that's fine, but then that becomes directly into our brain. When that's directly into our brain, all the things I told you about AI that we should be worried about now goes directly into my brain. So now someone tells me that the trade agreement doesn't work anymore, even though it actually does, because now that's in my brain. Now I can overload my brain, not electric grid. I can overload my brain with thoughts of evilness or badness, whatever the case may be. Now I can get data that's incorrect. Now all of a sudden, if the computer controls my eyes, it controls what I see. So now I see the bad guy coming at me when there is nobody there. I've just created hallucinations that don't exist. So things like that. So there's bad and there's good to both. Transhumanism, I think, is a wonderful concept. Just to be forward, there are pitfalls there too that are massive.
Boy, that is really an interesting question that we're going to have to deal with, and maybe even in our own lifetimes, Larry.
Yes, without question.
I'd like to move on to a little bit of a lighter topic, if you don't mind, Larry. I'd like to get your thoughts on this story. You've probably seen in the last few days that a lot of these government-funded news agencies like NPR. I saw that the Canadian
Yes.
Broadcasting Corporation. You're smiling. The Canadian
Yes.
Broadcasting
So
Corporation
good.
getting labeled as government-funded media. They had to change it from state-affiliated media to be more accurate, but government-funded media, and they are losing their minds over this. Larry, how do you feel about it?
I love it so much. You saw me smiling as soon as you mentioned it. I absolutely adore it because so much of this media is, look, this was already happening. And you knew this. I think most of your audience knows this, right? In reality, this type of news is the future, right? This is the future of news right here. We're on it right now. It's happening for us. It will become mainstream. And look, I'm older. I still want to turn on the TV for news. That's still a desire that I have. But I got to tell you, I do it less and less. I do it less and less. Now, if I'm going to watch a CNN or an MSNBC or a Fox News, it's because I think I need their mainstream opinion so I know what the government's thinking. Like, that's what I'm looking for. Like, I want to know what my government's thinking. So I have to turn CNN on because they're the voice of the government. So I've got to do that kind of thing. So that's why I'm watching, but not to get actual news. Now I'm turning on people that I trust, people like you and others that I will actually go on and say, okay, what are they thinking? What matters here? And can I believe them? And that's the issue. For so long in these last, I guess, 2 or 3 decades, government and mainstream everything has shown us that they cannot be trusted sometimes, right? That they will do things and say things that's not real, and they will follow their corporate masters or their government masters. We're finding that now. And I think the best answer for that is transparency, right? This is the idea of True GPT, going back to the other one, right? The more you put in, the better it will be. I think the more news stations, the more we're open about who's funding who. If you literally just said, this is Larry Sharp's news station, at least you would know, okay, this is what Larry Sharp's saying. All right, I got it. Do I want to listen to him or not? Versus I'm going to give you some that may drive some of your audience crazy. I actually prefer MSNBC to CNN. And someone may say, well, why would you rather have MSNBC to CNN? Because MSNBC is more honest than CNN. They're both left as can be, but CNN pretends they're not. MSNBC doesn't. They literally go, no, we are lefties. That's it, we're lefties. If you don't like it, why are you watching? Like, they literally will tell you that to your face. CNN pretends, oh, no, we are mainstream and we're completely neutral, and they're left. So just be honest. So I think honest news, transparent news is better. And these types of things make people think. And that's more important than anything.
Yeah, I saw this morning. I was watching Russell Brand's podcast, and he was playing clips of reporters asking the White House questions about this latest leak of the Ukraine papers. And all of the questions, instead of asking about what was in the papers, what was revealed, it was all like, what steps are you taking to prevent these kinds of leaks from happening? Will you release information about the service record of the person who released the leaks? So instead of going after the government and their incompetence or the lies that the Biden administration is engaged in to support this unconstitutional engagement, they go after the leaker. So it's like the mainstream media are just lapdogs for the government. I don't know when that changed or if that's always been the case, but whenever I read like the Associated Press, for example, they can't ever report something that like a conservative or a libertarian is doing in the news without offering the Democratic counterpoint to it. That is that, and it's not like a fact. It's like a liberal new viewpoint in what's supposed to be an Associated Press. It's supposed to be an unbiased report. They are mouthpieces for the regime, Larry.
Yes, the issue is, and I don't mean to be partisan here, but this is far more Democrat than Republican in this case, without question. It's because Democrats are much more about credentialed and things that are establishment and things that are, I'm real because I went through the credentialing that's required. I did the things that's important. And news in the past maybe 20 or 30 years has gone from something that someone who was a hustler would do to now someone who is educated will do. All the people who are in the media, they're all Harvard educated. They're all Yale master's degrees. That wasn't true back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. It was some guy who was hustling, who go out there and find stories. Those days are gone. Now it is all the elites who are in there, and elites love elites. So since elites love elites, they all think about it. The people who are going to tell me about the, how Black people are feeling in the ghetto, they're all people on MSNBC who all have Harvard degrees. I'm not joking. That's real, right? That's a thing. I'm supposed to now get them to tell me, oh, this is how the Black community is living. You haven't been in the ghetto in 40 years, brother. It's elites and elites. If you notice what the press said is, they didn't say, hey, government, you did horrible things, so why don't you answer for yourself? They instead said, hey, government, can you please make sure that we don't hear about these horrible things you're doing ever again? Because we feel bad about that. So can you please make sure that you keep the horrible things hidden from us? And if anyone does tell us about the horrible things, can you put them in jail right away? And then can you let us do hit pieces on them so no one else will let us know the horrible things you're doing? That's what's happening.
Oh, God, that's such good stuff. Larry, what are you working on these days? What should people know before we let you go today?
Oh, my God. Whenever you can, just Google Larry Sharpe in the Sharp Way. I'm always doing cool stuff. However, coming up here next week, by the way, I am doing the LP Presidential Forum next Wednesday. For those of you who want to watch the LP candidates who are running for president in 2024, I will be hosting that along with the lovely and talented Kim Iverson. She will be my co-moderator for that, coming up here next Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, April 26th. So please check that out.
Who are the candidates so far, Larry?
Candidates right now are Lars Mapstead, Michael Termott, Joshua Rodriguez, and the famous from Georgia, Chase Oliver, the gentleman who there was a runoff in Georgia, as many of you know, last year because of the libertarian Chase Oliver.
Okay, good to know. Well, Larry, that was certainly a great report this morning. People love your point of view, Larry, and they're always excited when you join us on the morning show. Thank you for being so generous with your time today.
Happy to be here, brother. Talk to you soon.
Thanks so much. What did you think of Larry Sharpe? Send us a text, 573-319-1586. That's 573-319-1586. Yeah, I was kind of hoping that Larry was going to take that opportunity to announce his campaign on the show. What about you? Yeah, wouldn't that have been nice? Larry Sharpe for president?
God,
Do you read any legacy media outlets?
I mean, I really get most of my news from Twitter at this point. It is the number one news source, I think, in the world at this point.
Do you read it?
There you go. That's Elon Musk, the legacy media. It's dying, and he's helping to kill it. And I gotta say, it's pretty fantastic. I was gonna play the Giga Chad theme song that I have queued up, but I can't do that because I got a copyright strike on the show the other day when I played it. Apparently it's a copyrighted song, so I can't do that. All right, Camellia Peterson's going to join us. The Heritage Foundation turning their back on free markets like so many other Republicans these days. We'll talk about that and what it means, and I've got a funny little story to share with you when we get back on the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
Good morning to
the Cantina crew. This is Elon Musk, the CEO of Twitter. And I just want to say thank you for watching the Wake Up America show. I've decided that Austin Peterson will be the new CEO of Twitter.com, effective immediately. First thing to do, though, is I've got to go and blast off into space.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that at the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian and always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
What is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
What would happen if I had to pick up the phone, call 911 for one of my family members or one of my neighbors? What would I do if no one was on the other end to respond? What if there was no 911? So you can be a part of the solution.
Anybody can be a firefighter. Male, female, younger, older.
We have school teachers. We have leaders in business.
Is me, you, anyone that wants to be. There is no typical firefighter.
Do you hate the deep state? Do you reject the Antichrist in all his ways? Do you believe that aliens controlled LBJ to assassinate John F. Kennedy? Did you know that the shot can put chemicals in you that will make you more sensitive to 5G? Do you love America? Do you want more freedom? Do you like smoking hot red-headed libertarians? Then the AP for Liberty shop is for you! Check out all the awesome new merch and have a happy new year! Fight the deep state, reject the Antichrist! Visit AP for Liberty shop and get your patriotic merchandise now, or the deep state wins!
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. It's Tuesday, so you must be feeling good, right? Or maybe you're not feeling good because it's actually that Tuesday where we all have to pay our taxes. Oh, pay your taxes. Well, my next guest says it's time for us to abolish the income tax, and she's saying it the cutest way. Camelia Peterson joining us right now. Good morning, CJ.
Good morning. Can we all take a moment just to a moment of silence and pledge to abolish the income tax?
I don't know about that one. Are you trying to get us on a list here, Camelia? I don't know. I'm pretty sure I'm on. If there's any lists out there, I'm already on it. Glad to have you here today, CJ. Income taxes. Are you of the opinion, like most libertarians, people like myself and others, that taxation really is theft?
I mean, when you really start boiling it down to the basics, there's no other conclusion to come to. I mean, if we're going to have a government and some societal services, do we need some form of taxation? Okay, yeah, probably. But, I think the worst taxation of all is income tax. Well, I don't know, it's a toss up between that and property tax, but
I love seeing our audience over on Rumble when it beats our YouTube audience. Nice to see you guys over there. Good morning to all of our Rumblers today. Make sure you click like on that Rumble stream to help us spread the message of economic freedom and personal liberty on that platform, as well as on YouTube if you're joining us, the Cantina crew today. The only like moral justification for taxation that I've been able to find, Camelia, and sort of my deeper readings of philosophy is this, that you're correct that we probably need some taxes here or there, fees, in order to accomplish certain goals, like perhaps certain types of infrastructure, et cetera, et cetera. But in terms of how would you justify that morally in believing that taxation is theft, is to say, one, that yes, taxation is theft, but that small harms sometimes must be done in order to achieve greater goods, in that sometimes it's not a zero-sum game between a black and white solution, where I think sometimes we as libertarians can get caught up in a philosophical view of the world where we imagine that there is an option that is a better option than the two evils that we have to be faced with. And quite frequently that is true, but people who are in power, who have the sword of Damocles over their head, are not often faced with opportunities where they could actually do the right thing. Frequently, men who are in power, especially who have great power, do have to choose between lesser evils. It's like I don't know if you ever saw the movie Spider-Man. You never did, but it was like, I'm sure you didn't, but he had to save the woman he loved or save a train full of people. It's the old, train car situation. Yeah, there are a lot of times when there are better options than the ones politicians choose, but there are sometimes times when, like, it really is a lesser of two evils that we have to face in this world, isn't it, Camelia, or am I wrong?
we've talked about this a lot, that everything is a matter of trade-offs. There is no black and white answer. There will always be something that we have to wrestle with. And I think taxes is one of those things too. I will say, in Missouri, one of our goals is to completely eliminate the income tax. And there are states who have done that. Tennessee is a state that, is very similar to Missouri in makeup, and they've eliminated the income tax and have gone to, primarily sales tax. There are a few differences, but, everybody's got their tax that they want to eliminate. Here in Missouri, we've working on, not we, but some people have been working on eliminating the pink tax and the grocery tax and the tax on guns and ammo. I'm even disagreeing with my own people about eliminating the sales tax on guns and ammo. I mean, you can't nickel and dime all of the sales taxes to death and then still want to get rid of income tax and property tax and all those kind of things. Trade-offs.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's about trade-offs. It's when I read, a moral justification that argued that taxation is theft, but that it has to be done in certain situations. They compared it to sort of like, let's say you need to get a shot for whatever reason. We won't say the V word. Let's say you need to get a shot for some other reason, but you cause a small amount of pain to do a greater amount of good, right? So, I mean, if you say that you can never do anything, that causes pain or problems or what have you, then you can't get an injection because the injection causes pain in order to do, whatever the medicine needs to do. So that was the best justification I had heard when I had read someone who said, yes, it's theft, but it is justifiable in these kinds of scenarios. I think they also compared it to if you're starving to death, and you see a loaf of bread, could you steal it? Yes, you could in order to save your own life, but you might owe recompensation to the person that you wronged. Or they compared it to if you have a boat in a storm and there's a private dock and you're not allowed to park your boat there, but there's a storm and you might die. I mean, there have been court cases about things like this. You can violate someone else's private property rights, tie your boat to that dock in order to provide safe harbor to the storm. But if your boat does harm to the dock, then you are liable for those. And that's kind of like the same sort of scheme, right? Murray Rothbard, and I don't want to rant too much, but I'll just tell you the story. You might like this. Murray Rothbard, I think, one time told a story about if you're on a building, let's say you're on a high rise and you're out on a deck